Well, this will be an interesting one. How do we take profits from crypto without actually selling? Big question on everyone's minds. I raised this the other day in a community post and on a live stream. Everyone was very excited about hearing my thoughts on this topic. So that's what I'm going to do. So it's the best of both worlds. I think people are loving watching these more chilled, relaxed, conversational type videos. And thank you very much for watching the last few. There's so many different things you can do when you're taking profits without selling in crypto. There's lots of things you can do, but there's something that restricts all of it. Literally all of it, bar, there's maybe a couple, which we'll get into later on in the video, that you could actually do and benefit fully from it. So let's get started. The big elephant in the room is tax. I've been going through all the different avenues that you can take profits in crypto without selling, and tax is everywhere. Literally, they've set it up in such a way where it's almost unavoidable. And if you can find a way to avoid it, then you've basically unlocked, I think maybe actually you've probably unlocked wealth at that point when you can figure out how to avoid it. And I know there's massive movements. I've seen people in the comments saying, taxes are just paying for this war that I don't support and all this kind of stuff. And it's true. It's like you see all the stuff happening in the world and taxes do become a big question. You're like, why am I even doing this? It's not supporting anything that I want in my life. And so that's a real tough one. So that's why it's going to be a big consideration in this video. But I think we're going to start off strong. I'm going to get into AMMs or staking. They are different things, but they're used kind of colloquially. I don't know how to say that. Just tried to figure that out. But they're used synonymously, not colloquially. That's not even the right word. They're used synonymously. But AMMs, when I'm specifically talking about AMMs, just know that I'm referring to the XRPL, the XRP related AMMs. But AMMs exist on all blockchains, and staking is the same type of principle. Essentially, what you do is you put crypto into an account, into a liquidity pool, and you get paid based on the liquidity you've provided. So you get a yield. So you're basically getting rewarded for contributing money into this system. And so with the XRPL AMM, it seems very interesting because there's such a thing as impermanent loss in normal AMMs that seems to be drastically reduced in AMMs. And so when we're thinking about taking profits, there's a whole category to talk about, and that is delegation of your assets. So I've got my XRP. I'm going to keep them in my cold storage wallet, but I'm going to link them to a liquidity pool. So you've basically locked in those assets into the liquidity pool, but you've not sold them. So that's essentially a transfer rather than a taxable event, which would be like a sale, which is extremely interesting, which is why I wanted to get into positives at the beginning, because there are ways to do this that are kind of avoiding tax. And the way to avoid tax is to avoid taxable events, which ultimately means try to avoid selling into fiat or stable coins. That presents a whole load of other issues, which we're going to talk about later. But with these AMMs, what's really interesting is that you can hold your crypto, basically hold your XRP forever and delegate it, not sell it, delegate it to an AMM in some way. And that AMM just provides you with a yield. Now, the result of that yield is taxable. Okay, so basically what we're looking at here is everything we do is taxable. You hold on to your crypto, taxable, because there's long-term capital gains tax. The only way you can avoid long-term capital gains tax or any capital gains tax is to move somewhere that has no capital gains tax. But even then, if you bought at the lows and you moved to another country, you had capital gains in this country from assets you purchased in your country, the capital gains still applies to that growth, which is why, it's a really tough one. If you're going to move to another country to reap the tax benefits, you need to do it before the assets have moved. So of course you can do AMMs, you can provide liquidity and get a yield that way. And although the only way for you to not create a taxable event in doing that is to transfer or swap into cryptos. So if I need to participate in an AMM with Ethereum, for example, I wouldn't sell my crypto into fiat and then buy Ethereum. because that's a taxable event because you've just taken it into fiat currency, you would convert into Ethereum and simply send your Ethereum to another wallet. There is no taxable event there, but the yield that is generated from that AMM is a taxable event. And so, when we're looking at this is passive income that we're talking about here. We're talking about creating profits or taking profits without selling, rather than trying to sell without tax, because it's just not going to be possible unless, there's a few things we'll talk about at the end. The next thing we'll be able to do is transfer our assets into tokenized real world assets. So again, it's really, really important. The big distinction, if you're trying to earn money, take profits without selling, you need to be converting assets. So this is why it's really important to have a marketplace, a secondary marketplace for tokenized assets. So let's say we've got a resort in Tuscany, like the one I worked on recently. They want to tokenize the entire resort and they'll pay a yield to people who buy the tokens. So you think, okay, how do I do this and create as few tax events as possible? The way to do it to create the most amount of tax events would be, I've got my crypto, sell my crypto into fiat or stablecoin, and then buy my NFT tokenized asset with that money. There's a taxable event, right? Because you've just sold it, and now you've sold it, created a taxable event, and now you've bought an NFT that the yield on that NFT is going to create more taxable events. So you've just done an unnecessary step. But that is the reality of the situation sometimes, right? Because in the ideal way, you would convert, let's talk about XRP, you would convert your XRP on a marketplace. This is why interoperability is so important, ladies and gentlemen. You would convert your XRP into that NFT, just that if it's interoperable with all these different blockchains and the blockchain that NFT is, the property is tokenized on, you'd be able to convert your XRP into that tokenized asset or that NFT, and there's no taxable event there because all you've done is convert your asset. So I've converted my asset from XRP to NFT, not XRP cash NFT. But then again, like I said, the yield that you generate from that NFT is taxed again. The one thing I think is going to be pretty interesting is being able to earn money from carbon credits that you generate from using or holding cryptocurrencies that are very efficient. We all know that's the way it's going, whether you believe in climate change or not. With that said, no snow this year in the winter. It's kind of think like we missed winter this year. It was 15 degrees yesterday. What is that? It's February and it was 15 degrees. Anyway, 15 degrees is quite warm for us, and that's Celsius too. In the future, when these carbon credits and the blockchain system has kind of integrated well, I do wonder whether we'll be able to, for example, I'm just thinking outside the box here, send or convert our XRP, for example, into CBDC and have that CBDC sit in a carbon credits account that earns you income because for whatever reason, I won't know the technical ins and outs of that, but there are going to be rewards for carbon credits, and integrating that with the blockchain, also understanding that Ripple is, right on top of things with the whole green agenda, which is kind of frustrating, but institutions are looking for that type of thing in companies to work for, so I obviously don't blame Ripple. Interesting to think about the idea of using carbon credits to kind of pay a lifestyle, or at least contribute to paying a lifestyle and creating that passive income, allowing you to almost take profits in a way without selling. Now, another way, and this way doesn't necessarily profit you, but it profits other individuals, and that is by using your cryptocurrency to do a charitable thing. I've worked with a client of mine, Lloyd. Hello, if you're watching. We've been working on setting up his will and all kinds of things that he's trying to set in place. And contributing his cryptocurrency into charity was a big part of our conversations. Again, this is so strange, but if you take your cryptocurrency, you sell it into fiat and then give it to charity, taxable event. Isn't that crazy? But if you send directly your cryptocurrency to the charity, they have to accept cryptocurrency, of course. There is no taxable event. It all goes to charity, and you've profited other people. So you've benefited other people in other ways. And so, I know people want to do that, but I think most of the time people want to do that with excess money rather than putting all their thought into giving away all their money first. Now, the next one, I'm going to get into the car because I've got to go and do some things. I've got to pick up some clothes. I'm going on a trip tomorrow, so I need some new clothes, so I'm going to go and get those. So let's pick up with the last one in the car. And this will be a funny one for all the Americans because we have TK Maxx in England, and I know in America it's TJ Maxx. A little funny difference there. I have no idea why it's different like that. It's the exact same thing, just a different name for some reason. Anyway, I've got two things before I get into this last thing. I've got two things to bring up. One is an up and coming video that I've got. Basically, back in November, I had a theory. I did some research and I placed some bets silently because I needed to test the hypothesis. I bought 4 altcoins. I think I may have mentioned them on another video, maybe. But I bought 4 altcoins on a specific date, and they basically all popped. they all performed. So very interesting. So what I've done now is I'm making a video of the next 4 altcoins that I think are about to pop. One of them has already started and I'm late to making the video, which is really annoying, but I'm going to mention it anyway. So that video is coming up very soon. So if you are interested in that video, there's going to be an email that goes out with the reports for each one of the tokens I talk about. I'm going to generate my own report and send those reports over to you. So if you want to register to get those reports, fill out the form in the comments. The pinned comment on this video will be a form for you to fill in, and I'll send you the reports when that videos come out, and also I'll send you the reports of the individual tokens at that time as well. Number 2, so that's really, I think that's quite exciting. Number 2 is about this exit strategy workshop that I put out last week. I can't believe the immense reception it's got. I'm gonna put a load of feedback that's on the screen. I'm gonna sit over here, and the feedback's gonna scroll through over there. But I want to say, one thing I didn't expect, one thing I knew to expect, was that people would be relieved of stress. I didn't realize to the degree that people would be relieved of their stress. I've had emails of people saying they were brought to tears just from the sheer relief of the stress that got taken away. This is the power of a plan. Imagine, okay, there's tears of joy and stress relief now that people are getting from taking that workshop, having a plan finally, or at least the structure for a plan that they can make very easily. But then, there are going to be tears in the opposite way of all the people that didn't have a plan, that thought I'll wait to see, or they think their plan's actually comprehensive, but it's really not. They realize how much money they've missed out on at the top because they didn't take profits, they didn't have a plan, and there's going to be tears on the negative side as well. So people don't have enough good words to say about this workshop. I obviously think that myself because I made it and I think it's extremely valuable. But if you want to register for the exit strategy workshop, it's a 90-minute deep dive. There's actually 4 hours worth of content there talking you through exactly how to do it. You get access to basically the 90-minute walkthrough of the strategy. You also get another 40 minutes of the live Q&A that we recorded at that time, matrix that I put together, the desired versus current lifestyle spreadsheet. There's so much stuff that goes into it. Thank you very much for everyone who's taken it. I'm waffling now. The link is in the description for you to register. I think it's an incredible resource, and you'll all love it if you take it. We're here to talk about the best way to take profits and not sell. The great thing about this is that it's taking profits, it's not selling, and it's not taxable. You ready? It's an answer you all know already, and that is borrowing against your crypto. Now, this is something you can do. There is one bank in Sweden even. Yeah, Sweden, who will actually take XRP and collateralize it for you and give you a loan. Now, the benefits of this, of course, is that loans are tax-free. There's no tax on those. You're also not selling the asset. You're giving them, again, it's like a delegation type thing, and the bank are giving you a loan against them. You've collateralized your XRP. Benefit of that, I'm going to get into the negative right at the end. The benefit to that is that there's no tax event, and you can use that capital that you've just got given to buy yield generating assets. So you might buy a load of property that generates you an income from there, whatever it is that can generate you an income, dividend yielding stocks, whatever. You can purchase those things without a taxable event. Now, important thing to notice, just like the crypto staking type of thing and the AMMs, the yield that you generate from that is taxable, but at that point it's free money, so who cares? Now, the big negative point about all of this is that when you borrow against your assets, with a bank, for example, they give you a loan. That's basically what it is. You've used the loan in a really good way, but two things. You'll have to pay off that loan somehow. So you have to hope that the purchases you've made in the yield generating assets that you've purchased, you need those to be able to pay off the loan that you're paying, which actually makes this whole strategy more of a long-term play than you think. People think borrow against it, now I can buy anything I want and I'm rich now. Well, the idea is that you buy yield generating assets and that yield over time pays off the loan, because in the end what you get left with is an asset that is fully paid off, the loan that you've paid off, but you've still got the asset and still got the crypto, and you're getting that yield continually, even though now you don't have to pay off that loan. So it is a long-term play to collateralize your assets. Some assets that you diversify into will be faster at generating those yields, but still, there's a consideration to make. The other big negative, and really the source of fear for me in this strategy and taking a loan, is something called a margin call. What a margin call is essentially is, let's say XRP goes up to $10 and you collateralize at a 50% loan to value, let's say. So you've got $1 million portfolio and you've basically taken out as a loan $500,000 tax-free, right? You've not sold your crypto, but you've got that tax-free cash. Now, what happens is, because you've taken it out remotely close to the top, let's say, in these regions that you take profits on, the XRP price has come back down because utility hasn't happened yet. And we are still in speculation mode, and the price of XRP has come down to $2, right? For the bottom of the bear market. Well, you still owe $500,000, but now you've only got a $2 XRP. Now what? Like, do you have to, the only way you can now pay them back is with a margin call, where essentially what happens is the price of the asset that you've collateralized against has come down so much that the bank goes, hang on a second, it's getting a bit close to the time where you don't actually have the money to pay me back. So we've got to take your assets, right? So big problem there. Spent some, right? You've spent the profits, you spent the loan, you've still got to pay back the loan, but the value of your assets has gone down so much in the bear market that now the value of your assets themselves is only just enough to pay back the loan. So the bank looks at that as a big risk and thinks, oh, hang on a second, this isn't ideal. I don't want this. This is too much risk on the bank side. So we're going to have to take your crypto. And now what you're left with is a loan paid off and a yield generating asset, right, that you can now take the yield from because it's not paying back the loan, but you've now got no crypto. So that's the result of a margin call. You will end up with all of your crypto gone, but you will still have the asset that you've bought with the loan. So, there's a balancing game there, but I think that's the big negative. Anyway, that's all from me. I'm about to go and get some clothes because all my clothes have shrunk, or I've just got a little bit fatter. We need to change that though. Anyway, thank you for watching and subscribing. If you got value from this, please hit like and share it with other people. It's an interesting thought concept to have. How to take profits without selling your crypto. Exit strategy workshop in the description. Stay emotionless. I'll see you in the next one.
New clothes. But why the new clothes?